Okay, so after uploading my Amiga 600 video the other day with GoTech Job, I thought I'd show off my ZX Spectrum. So this looks like a traditional ZX Spectrum. Obviously this is the 48K or even 16K style ZX Spectrum, which came out in 1982. But this is actually a brand new Spectrum inside out. What we've actually got here is a brand new faceplate for this one. We've also got a new keypad here. There's a brand new membrane in this as well. And if we actually open up, we've actually got inside a SiZif 512, and this is a ZX Spectrum clone. Now, as much as I love original hardware, there's no denying that original hardware is getting pretty dated nowadays. I mean, it's a 1982 computer originally, and that's besides the point. Something like this is so much more accessible, and it's so much easier to connect to a modern day screen. So you're going to notice I've got some blue tack in here. This isn't mounted inside of the case yet, and the reason that is because this is a brand new case I've got for this. We need to drill some holes into the back of it for certain things to expose through the back side of the case, and I've just not got around to it yet. Now, it is a clone, like I say, but it's probably one of the best clones of the ZX Spectrum you're going to get. It's got a real Z80 processor in it, which you can see just here, the Zilog processor. We've got a firmware chip just here. We've even got a sounds chip in here, which is going to give us mono or stereo sounds for when we're playing games or whatever. It's got a Bluetooth and a Wi-Fi module. We can actually use our phone to load up games using one of those modules. We can even connect to the internet on this to download games, which I'm going to show you. We've got everything stored just here on the micro SD card. We've also got some jumpers here, which I put into the right configurations to give me the setup that I want. Now, like I was just saying, this has actually got a brand new membrane in it as well. Now, as we can see just here, the membrane actually connects to the motherboard itself. And this is another issue with original ZX Spectrums. The original membranes these days are so dried up, and I've broken many of these in the past just trying to carefully open up the case. But that's not the case. This brand new membrane is just brilliant, and it's a little bit more floppy. If we take a look at the back side of this, we got a connection on the right hand side so we can connect this to a TV. We've also got a 9-pin port just there so I can connect my zip stick. We got a couple of audio ports. We've also got a couple of buttons here which we can use to access particular things when we boot this up, which I'm going to show you in a minute. If we just go down a touch, we've also got the power source just there. Now, as you can see, the SiZif 512 ZX Spectrum clone, this actually fits inside of the 48K style case fairly well. Also fits inside of the 48K Plus case. But it does have a couple of things poking out. Namely, the 9-pin joystick port just there, as well as the couple of magic buttons. But I'm going to get around to drilling the case at some point. So everything's connected up, and just like a real ZX Spectrum, or an original ZX Spectrum that is, the moment I plug in the power, it will turn on. So if I just power this on, as you'll see on the screen right now, this has actually got ExoDOS. And it's going to boot straight into the 1982 Sinclair Research logo just there. So I forgot to mention just now that this actually supports 128K games too. Obviously, it's not the size of 128K, but we can load 128K programs through this no problem. Now, I was also saying just a minute ago that it's got a couple of what's called magic buttons on the back. There's two of these magic buttons. If I just press down on the right hand side one just there, that's going to bring us into the contents of what's on the SD card. As I was saying, we can actually connect this to a network and we can go online with this essentially to download games. So what we're going to do is just hold on to the cap shift key, and if I press on the digit 6, that will then allow us to use the extra function of the arrow downwards. So I'm going to go down to the network folder. If I press enter to go inside of this one, I then need to go down to netman.tap, press enter again. And what this is going to do is allow us to set up our networks. Okay, so once this is loaded up, as we can see, I've got various different networks to select from. So what I'm going to do is use the Q and A button just to move up and downwards and select my network. And from here, enter Wi-Fi password. If I then press enter, everything's now set up and it's going to say reboot and load some Wi-Fi software. So I'm going to just reboot the Spectrum. And if I press that magic button on the back, and what I'm going to do is go back into that network folder. And from here, I'm then going to select Gopher. And once we're inside of this Gopher folder, I'm going to scroll down to ugof.bas and press enter on this one. And this is now connecting to this server. Okay, so this time it's going to tell us what the keyboard buttons do, certain keyboard buttons. So in this case, if we press Q and A, that will allow us to go up and down. What I'm going to do is scroll right down to the bottom, and I'm going to go to quick links. And if I use the first link just here and press enter on this one, downloading. And from here, we got various different things. So I'm going to go to ZX Spectrum section, press enter. And here we go. From here, we can now download Wonderful Dizzy, for example, which came out a few years ago. If you're a Dizzy fan, you've not checked out Wonderful Dizzy, I seriously urge you to play that game. It's very good. So it's just a case then of selecting particular games you want, or even demos. If we go to BBB Demos Archive, press enter, that's going to bring us into a whole new section entirely. We also got a Retro Souls game mirror just here, so we can download some games by Retro Souls if that's your thing. And here we go, so we're now into that demos folder, and what I'm going to do is just test one of these out just to show you how this works. So I'm going to go to, say, ZX Tribute and press enter on this one. And downloading files can sometimes take a little time, but generally they download and then you can just play them. It's very simple. And at this point, many people might be thinking, does this thing run Crysis? Well, no it doesn't, but it runs some very awesome old school as well as new school, or rather new wave Spectrum games. Let me just show you something else we can do with this. So if I hold down, and just press down rather, on the button on the back on the right hand side, we're going to come up to a menu, and from here we can actually change the Z80 processor frequency. So the top option we got just here is CPU frequency. By default this is running at 3.5 megahertz. I can use my joystick at this point. I can actually increase the speed. So as we can see, as I scroll through, we can go up to 14 megahertz. We can actually boot this directly into 128K mode if we wanted to. We also got the +3. We also got the Pentagon. And of course the 48K, which is what I've got on. Now just here under panning, this is actually the difference between mono sound and stereo. So it's on ACB right now. Again, if I just use the joystick, I can select mono. And there we go. Joystick I've actually selected is Kempston because I think that's the best way to play Spectrum games. We also got 48K ROM just here. We can go through Open SE or default. Personally, I've got this selected for LG. And we also got an option here to use ULA Plus, which is going to change colours of Spectrum games, which some people like, some don't. Personally, I'm a little bit on the fence with that. I'm not sure if I'm really into that technology. If we go down to Advanced, we can change different things there. So we got Bright Boost. If I turn Bright Boost to off, not sure if that's going to come out, but the screen is slightly adjusted to a darker tone. I'm going to leave this one on. We also got Auto CPU Frequency. And I'm just using the fire button just to select each one of these options. So CPU frequency, I'm actually going to leave this one at 3.5 megahertz is standard. Now what I'm going to do is go down to Advanced. I'm going to go to Save Settings. If I then go back and exit. So that's several options what this clone of the ZX Spectrum has got to offer. It's got a lot of options in there. Really, I'm just touching the surface of it. I could really go in depth a little more, but I'm going to just do a brief rundown of this. So if I go to exit, what I'm going to do is go back into my SD card. So just press the right magic button. And we're going to play some games, or rather show you some games working with this. So I'm going to go into my system folder. If I go into my ZX folder, I've got a demos folder and I've also got a games folder. So I'm going to go down to the games folder and press enter, and I've got the alphabet of games here for Spectrum. So if I go down to E and press enter, and here's my list of ZX Spectrum games. So I'm going to look for Epsilon, and what I'm going to do here is press the number 8 whilst holding down on cap shift, which is going to allow us to move through these pages a lot quicker. And here we go, Epsilon.tap. Now I've got the TV connected to my hi-fi like I do with my old systems, or rather new systems like this one. And here we go then, so start game. And Kempston joystick, and 1 to start the game. Now obviously, like I was saying, we can actually change the sound modes on this, and right now I'm pretty sure this is on stereo, so it might not sound how it was intended to. Okay, so this time I'm going to test out 128K demo. So if I just access the SD card again, and I'm going to go through my demo folder, and I've just found 128K demo here, which is craft128.tap. Now we can actually access the menu too whilst we got programs running. So to do this, I just hold it down on the right magic button on the back, and here we go. So we can actually change things on the fly. It's very awesome stuff. And that's about it. Is a brief little showcase for my new school, or new style ZX Spectrum. I also forgot to mention I have got a transparent case for this one, so we can actually see what's going on inside. I got this thing with transparent cases for all systems. But all of this can actually be purchased online. eBay is a good place to find some of this stuff. In fact, you can buy all of this, what I've assembled, from eBay. There's also European stores. I'm not sure about American stores. As we know, the Sinclair ZX Spectrum was more of a British computer in parts of Europe too. But all in all, this cost around roughly £200. Now, some people might argue that the Retro Games Limited, the Spectrum, came out just before Christmas. And, you know, what's the point in this? Well, to be honest with you, if you're a complete geek like myself and you like messing around with technical settings and you want it to connect online to download games, then this is for you. For your casual Spectrum player, just to play some games, then I wouldn't recommend this, not really. But like I say, I love messing around with technical settings. I like the option here to change CPU speeds to make games and demos run faster. So on that standpoint, it's a really good system. But yeah, like I say, for your average Spectrum player who just wants to play a Spectrum game every now and again, you'll probably be better off with that new mini console from Retro Games Limited. But anyways, I thought I would upload this video to go alongside the Amiga video which I did the other day, and there's going to be more of this type of content coming with my physical hardware collection. But anyways, thanks for watching.